Man, do you like podcasts? Well then,
welcome to
No Gimmicks Needed!
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
this is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. Alright. So, on Saturday, we had the annual Thanksgiving tradition for WWE, which is Survivor Series. And for those who know, Survivor Series used to be the event that came before Thanksgiving that was an answer to combat Clash of Champions for WCW, right? So, we haven't had a traditional Survivor Series. Survivor Series is not what it used to be. It used to be part of the Big Four, the Classic Five, however you wanted to do it, if you had the King of the Ring from back in the day of pay-per-views. And I used to love the classic Survivor Series 5-on-5 matches, which, by the way, we got on Smackdown. But now, Survivor Series, since Triple H took on the concept of Wargames and brought it from NXT. Well, first they got it from WCW, brought it from to NXT. They brought it to the main roster. I was like, well, this is perfect for Survivor Series. But then all of a sudden, it's like now we have seen. Look, just hear me out. We have seen 4 War Game style matches in 1 month. Talk about a little bit overexposure, because we had 2 from AEW Blood and Guts, and we had 2 tonight. And listen, I'm going to piss a lot of people off, but in my personal opinion, Blood and Guts is better. I'm just putting that out there right now. Blood and Guts, both their War Games matches was better than what happened in Survivor Series. And I have my reasonings for that. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and recap on Survivor Series. Once again, it's on the ESPN app. I am going to really take the time to invest in a VPN. Because me having Classic Cable, which I'm about to get rid of, to have the ESPN app, but still have to pay the $30. And honestly, it's like I got other shit I need to pay for and rather pay for than pay $30. I just miss going to Peacock and just watching that shit. So the VPN, especially when it comes to, because I like to do the big events. I like to do Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, Survivor Series, those kind of stuff. Oh, the card looks good. And we had an all-star War Games match lineup for here. Because Seth Rollins got injured, and honestly, if Seth never got injured, we wouldn't even have half this lineup in this matchup. But we getting Brock Lesnar in a War Games match, so natural curiosity as a wrestling fan wants to see that, right? Well, I was like, but no, the $30, man. And you know what? To be honest with you, I'm glad I ain't pay that. And I watched had other means of watching it. So, but ExpressVPN looks like it's the way to go to make sure to trick your Netflix and watch it in another country. But we got to talk about War Games, because I felt as though, overall, the show was mid. To me. And once again, I'm not going to be pissing a lot of people off. And a lot of people could think this was kind of the best thing. But this was not even the best War Games, the best Survivor Series. And I felt as though the women's match had no heat to it. First of all, before I even do that, we only had 4 matches. I have been on this podcast and I have said before that I am not I don't have a problem with Triple H's 5-match card. But, however, sometimes you got to, it's a stadium show. This Survivor Series is a stadium show. It's the first outdoor Survivor Series. This is the first outdoor WWE War Games match. So, I know they got the All-Star War Games match, but honestly, that classic Survivor Series match to even bring back some element of Survivor Series, you could have put that on this card. That could have been the bridge right in the middle. That you could have did that. I felt as this show had so much potential that it didn't do. And it didn't use. And also, when it comes to this War Games concept, this could be another unpopular opinion. I agree. I like the women having their War Games. I like the men having theirs. I like that they are able to have both talents expressed. I like the same thing with the Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumbles and stuff like that. But however, when it comes to War Games, I feel as though that you have to cook with this thing. You have to cook because the match has to be warranted. Like Hell in a Cell, it has to be warranted. Okay? And that Women's War Games match was heatless. It wasn't really, it was thrown together. And honestly, the only rivalry that probably could have had a War Games match was the Bloodline, the MFTs and the Wyatt Six, which I did not want to see in the War Games match. But I'm just saying, it just has to have some heat to it, man. And honestly, I felt as though shit was just thrown in there together. And I'm like, sometimes if you don't have the proper storyline for the War Games match, then you can just do one. If the women got the better story, do the women's War Games. And then you can do a traditional Survivor Series match. Or if the men got the better storyline, let them have the War Games match. If the women don't have it, fine. But if they both have intriguing storylines, then do both. But I mean, sometimes you gotta just let things go. And on top of that, in the middle, we had an overbooked John Cena Intercontinental Championship match. And we had a lifeless, I've said this before, that Nikki Bella program with Stephanie, I'm like, please let this be over. Because I didn't even care about it. I didn't care about the heel turn. And I damn sure the worst match on the card. It's only 4 matches. We talked about enough of the intro. Let's get on into the matches. Talked about some things. I'm not going to give a spot-by-spot review. Obviously, I'm just going to give you just my general thoughts about it. Quick recap of it. Because once again, this happened on Saturday. I know you've seen a lot of reviews up to it now. But once again, I'm just recording the podcast. So I'm just going to give you guys my general thoughts of it. Because we kicked off with the Women's War Games matchup. Okay? The Women's War Games was Team Rhea, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, AJ Lee, and Rhea Ripley was the captain, taking on Team Asuka, which was the Women's Tag Team Champions, the Kabuki Warriors, which is Asuka and Kairi Sane, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, and NXT call-up Lash Legend. Because I was really curious to see how Lash was going to do. Jessica Carr is the referee in this matchup, which I think is going to play a little bit into the Becky Lynch storyline going forward. So, Asuka and Charlotte kick off the matchup. Now, in this War Games, the faces have the advantage. Once again, the War Games match really does not work if the faces have the advantage. It's for the heels to have the advantage and the bay faces to overcome it. But when the bay faces are in there like jumping the heel, stuff like that, and they have the advantage, it don't really work the same. But once again, I understand you guys switch it up. But when you have 2 War Games matches, you can't have the same thing over and over. So that's why I'm like, Triple H got to find a way to work this out. Asuka and Charlotte go at it for a little bit. Then Io Sky comes out. She comes out with like a trash can lid, and it has like her name on it. It's like a white trash can lid with like a red, like her logo on it. Io Sky is on there. So she comes out next for the bay faces, as her and Charlotte get the advantage of Asuka. Becky Lynch is out next with a kendo stick. She comes in there and hits Io Sky with a bunch of kendo stick shots. Gives her a side Russian leg sweep with the kendo stick around her throat. Then Charlotte and Becky go at it because, old rivals. And she starts rubbing her face into the cage. Or Charlotte starts rubbing Becky's face to the cage. Next up is Alexa Bliss, who comes down for the baby faces. Charlotte's best friend, partner, however you want to call it. She makes her way down. She gets her little action in. Then we get Kairi Sane, who comes out next to complete the Kabuki Warriors tag team. And she comes out there to come help a partner out. And she comes out with like a chain of something. So, a chain where they can go around and start choking people with the chain. So then as time expired, AJ Lee is the next one coming out. AJ Lee, this is her second match back since being back, but also this is her first War Games match. AJ Lee has never been a part of War Games before. So as she comes down, Becky Lynch is holding the door so AJ doesn't come in. So what AJ does is like, okay, well, I can't. Since this is not AEW, there's no top on the cage in this War Game. So she climbs up to the top. It climbs down on the top rope and it does a crossbody. I was wondering, now because AJ just come back and she's being a little bit older, would she had hit that crossbody from the top of the cage? I'm not necessarily sure. I thought that was probably going to happen, but once again, she couldn't because, believe it or not, we're going to get that same spot later on in the main event. Nia Jax's in there and she comes in there with the big girl moves and starts knocking everybody down. Even pulls Io off the side of the cage like a vicious power bomb. And I was like, oh, that's pretty vicious. Then after that, Asuka starts choking Alexa Bliss with the chain that Kairi Sane brought in. Then, after the bell expires, then we get Rhea Ripley. Now, Rhea Ripley comes out. She has another mask on. So it's like she's been wearing these masks in the War Games match. And this one is inspired by Art the Clown from the Terrifier movies. If anybody's seen the Terrifier movies, which is actually pretty good. She has the Art the Clown mask. I thought that was pretty dope. and she comes in and she has like candlesticks and the trash can, the white trash can. Now, as soon as you see that trash can, you knew who that was for, because it's like the annual thing to do now, right? Okay, because I was like, whoop, that trash can is going to Io Sky, because Io Sky's in this matchup, and Io Sky got to do her Io Sky flying trash can, kind of like how Kofi had to do his Royal Rumble spot. But in this one, she got to do it in War Games, right? Rhea just put Kairi Sane in the Prism Trap, and then they put a trash can over her, and Io runs the ropes and gives her builds momentum and gives Kairi Sane a front dropkick. Then last but not least, no pun intended, the clock expires, and then for the heel team, Lash Legend comes out. And honestly, looking back at it, I think this was the best spot for her. Because, once again, she has not had a match on the main roster. She just came from NXT and was just like, damn, here go Lash Legend, right? And I was like, oh shit. So now, but you putting her in a spot on a 5-on-5 War Games match on a stadium show with allegedly 46,000 people there. Her coming out last makes sense to me. And having her, when she came in there, she did the power move, stuff like that. She started tossing people around. She gave Io a forearm after she came out the air. And then her and Rhea stayed each other down. Rhea kind of gave like a little Art the Clown head tilt and like waved at her a little bit. And her and Rhea start going at it. But then she hits like a powerbomb to Rhea and hits a stiff pump kick to Rhea Ripley for 2 count. But now War Games has officially begun. So what really happens is now they do Lash does her shit, but they take her out. Because what happens is Asuka has the blue mist and she sprays it. She's trying to go for God, I don't know who was on the babyface side, but they duck and Lash Legend gets it. That takes out Lash for the remainder of the match. They tag team and they like do a double superplex to Nia Jax, and then Io climbs to the top of the cage. Now, we know what she's going for, so then AJ tries to get her the trash can, but she's just too short. So then Rhea has to put her on her shoulder, so she gives her the trash can, and then she puts the trash can over her, and then this spot, I love the spot, it gets done to death. I just be worried about like, Io, pay attention, because if she slip and she can't see it all, I'm worried she's going to be falling off backwards. But she does it, and she does this time, instead of doing a cross body, she does a swanton off and to all the women, and now the only one that's left is Becky Lynch. Rhea Ripley hits the Riptide on Becky Lynch, and then AJ Lee hits the Black Widow submission, and Becky Lynch taps out. So the faces win War Games. It was okay, to be honest with you. It was like you had to open with one of the War Games. It was okay matchup. I felt as though the middle just kind of felt dead, but the reason why it was okay because we had talent in this matchup. It wasn't that we didn't have talent. It wasn't that we didn't have cool spots. The problem is there's no heat to it. There's really no heat to this, and the whole issue with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley and stuff like that, it's like they got that resolved real quick, and that was it. I thought that was probably gonna play into the matchup. I didn't get a chance to do my predictions to tell you what I thought was gonna happen, but I thought that was gonna play into the match, and it didn't. So they won the matchup. Now next up is we have for the Intercontinental Championship, John Cena in his final PLE. His final one. There will be no more PLEs for John Cena after this. Survivor Series is the final one. Saturday night's main event is not a PLE. So this is the final one. Taking on Dominic Mysterio in his hometown of San Diego for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, originally, I had thought that if they were going to put Cena as the Grand Slam champion, I felt as though maybe he'll hold it, and then Sheamus gets his Intercontinental Championship and have him beat him at Saturday night's main event, and Cena puts him over like that. However, Sheamus got injured, and I was like, well, it's clear it's going to be Gunther that's going to win this, right? But Gunther does not need to step down after being the world champion to go back to the Intercontinental Championship. So we got to get the belt off Cena. So the question is, how? So we got Dom versus Cena right here in Survivor Series. And this was a overbooked to hell match. For starters, there was a spot when Penta went up against Rusev on Monday Night Raw. He did a Hurricane Rana off the barricade, and he hit his head and shoulder, and he's injured. He's legit out, right? So they said, well, like Jey Uso said, let's run that back. So Dom does the same thing and does the spot, and it looked like worse. He hit his shoulder head and played off to the injury. So now the referee's checking on him, and now they're distracted with Dom. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez come in there, and Roxanne hits a pop rocks on John Cena. That's not on my bingo card at all. Her hitting a cold red pop rocks and cold red's the same damn thing on John Cena. I mean, first of all, shout out to Roxanne because this is last PLE matchup, so sure, that's a great spot for her. And not to take anything away, because even Raquel Rodriguez hit Cena with a Tejana bomb. I'm like, you got these women here with these spots. Like, Cena really put these people over. Like, this is a good spot for them to be in for Cena's last pay-per-view match. So after all this happens, Dom wakes up and is like, oh, you know what? I feel good. And it hits the 619 and the frog splash, but referee Chad Patton is not going to count the count. So, and then he sees Roxanne and Raquel and ejects them. So now they're out. So now, assuming it's a one-on-one type matchup, right? Well, Cena hits the final show that hits the AA, but then, believe it or not, Dom kicks out the AA. So then they start doing the AA boo punches, and then Dom ducks one, and Chad Patton gets knocked down again. Oh, and what do you know it? As Cena gets Dom and STFU, here comes the other members of Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD McDonough. So now they beat Cena down. JD goes for a moonsault. Cena gets his knees up. Finn Balor goes for the coup de grace. Cena rolls out the way. And we got to get a classic Cena double attitude adjustment. He got Balor and JD up and hits a double attitude adjustment on them. And then now he goes over to Dom. Dom got the title. He takes a swing at it. He misses and gets AA'd again. Now Cena waiting for a referee to come down. But Liv Morgan's music plays. Liv Morgan is back. We ain't seen Liv Morgan in a minute. And once again, when I did my predictions, honestly, there was a inkling that I thought Liv Morgan was going to come back. But she's back. She runs down and she looks at Dom, and all of a sudden she slaps the shit out of Dom. And I was like, oh snap! Liv is turn on Dom, because because you know there's stuff that's been sort of going on with him and Roxanne. But then she looks at Cena and she jumps on Cena, like, you know, hugs like, you know, AJ Lee style. And then the camera zooms in, and then she gives like the same evil face that John Cena did back in Elimination Chamber, back, you know, when the heel turn was actually cool. And jumps off of Cena, smiles, and then kicks him in the dick. Gives Cena a low blow, and then Dom comes and he falls right in the middle of the ropes. Dom hits the 619. Dom hits the frog splash, and then Dom wins back the Intercontinental Championship with Liv Morgan. So it was all the rules anyway. And that's how John Cena, they gonna get the title off John Cena. But they didn't stay in there long. They rolled out, let Cena have his moment. And Cena sits there, gets a standing ovation from the crowd. This is last PLE Survivor Series is what it was. I remember, like, when John Cena first kind of had that face fire coming in, was, if y'all can remember, Survivor Series of 2003. When it was Team Lesnar versus Team Angle. And they couldn't find the fifth guy, and they had to go get John Cena. John Cena was a heel at this time, but everybody was trying to feel John Cena. That's like right when the stuff was kind of breaking. You could see him going into a babyface role. That's the best memory I got of John Cena Survivor Series, because he had that many Survivor Series memories like that. But that's what it took me back to. So, shout out to you, Cena. Shout out to you, Cena. Career well deserved. We got one more date left, y'all. One more date. The less said about this next match, the better. Because it is for the Women's World Championship. Stephanie McCure taking on Nikki Bella. Did not care for this rivalry. Did not care for any of this. It's a stadium show, and the crowd was mid for the most of the matchup. The only highlight I cared about is the build-up to the Devil's Kiss, where she gives Nikki Bella on the announce table, which I thought was kind of cool. But it seems like that's what we building up to now. We built to the Devil's Kiss now, and still need Booker T on it. But however, what Booker T has said, like, this move has gotten everything over, right? And she hits that corkscrew, the beautiful corkscrew splash on Nikki Bella, and she retains the championship. There was no reason for me to go into detail about this. I didn't need to go into detail about this because I didn't care for this match. I didn't care for this rivalry. I hope this is a one and done thing. And it's like, okay, Nikki Bella came back and she got her little, I guess, run to go with it. She probably still gonna be around, but I don't care. And I've said this before, even when I did a little short about it, I was like, man, the amount of time Stephanie was selling for Nikki Bella on the top of the stage, I was like, it was atrocious. Okay, atrocious. So we didn't need that. So now it's time for the main event. It's the men's War Games matchup. We got Babe Faces, which is CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, and Roman Reigns taking on The Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. So I failed to mention this when it came to the women's War Games matchup. They didn't have the shark cages. They were in like the stadium. So the way it came down like in an L shape. Like you came down. Remember WrestleMania 14, where or the Royal Rumble, like the 1998-99 at your pay-per-views, where you come down, you gotta make a turn to the left and go down to the ring. That's how it was. So having them shark cages up there was not going to be visually appealing, especially when you can see it from the ring. And also, I do believe that's part of it, but I do believe one of the main reasons is Brock Lesnar is not going to have his ass cramped up in those shark cage for 30 minutes with these other dudes in here where he can't move around. And no, Brock ain't going for that. I'm sorry. Brock ain't going for that. We can talk about the aisle way all we want to. Brock ain't going for that. I can't go for that, Brock said. So the ones who start now is CM Punk and Braun Breaker. I was like, I thought it would have been one of the Usos. To be completely real with you, I thought it would be one of the Usos because CM Punk's older. Okay, I was like, damn, they're going to have CM Punk out here running this thing for about 40-something minutes. So him and Braun Breaker start the match out. And then the heels got the advantage. So the next one out is Drew McIntyre. Oh, now we're going to renew this rivalry. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. So they start going at it. It's great to see them to go back at it because they had like almost a rivalry of the year, if not a rivalry of the year last year. So then at time expires, we have Cody Rhodes that comes down. So Cody Rhodes comes down in the same spot that we had earlier with the women, happens with the men, where Drew McIntyre is holding the door shut and Cody can't get in. So Cody has to go to the top. But this time Cody dives off the top of the cage onto McIntyre and Braun Breaker and takes or actually on the McIntyre, takes him out and starts beating him so even up the odds. It was literally the same spot. Okay, it was the same spot other than Cody jumps off the top of the cage, AJ jumps off the top of the rope. But now Rose and Punk start doing double team work. They set up Braun Breaker for a heart attack move when Cody has him up and then Punk was supposed to hit him with a clothesline. But they weren't done yet. They hit a doomsday device, something that his uncle and his Braun Breaker's uncle and daddy used to do. So Cody has Braun up on his shoulders. And CM Punk goes to the top to give him a clothesline. So he clotheslines him, but Braun lands like right on his neck and head. Like he didn't give the full rotation of it. Because sometimes when you hit that match, you get the clothesline, you're supposed to toss the guy's legs backwards so they can flip backwards and like land on their front or on the, a safer fall. Braun fell right on his head. It was kind of blowing. And then Cody was like sitting there looking at him like, "Is you concussed?" Like they had to check on Braun, even like the refs had to check him through the gate to make sure he wasn't concussed. But he did finish out the matchup, but it was a very scary bump that Braun Breaker took. Next up is Logan Paul comes out. Ugh. And he brings chairs up into the ring so they can use the chairs. And then next up is Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso comes out, comes to even up the odds. And Jimmy comes and he brings, he got to get the Slim Jim table from under the ring, brings it to the ring. Next up, we get Bronson Reed, who comes out for the heel side of the team. He comes and hits Cody with a tsunami splash off the back. Next up, Jimmy Uso comes out. Jay Uso comes out, and they call him and Jimmy start doing stereo super kicks, and then they hit Logan Paul with the 1D. So everybody's down. It's just Cody, CM Punk, and the Usos in the ring. And then so Jay looks at the camera and says like, you know what? We're going to run it back? Let's run it back. Climbs up on top of the cage. I mean, dead serious. Is straddling the top of the cage, yeeting during the matchup. Everybody, 40,000 people yeeting. And it was just like, remember the times, it's ironic because their dad did this. Remember there were times like the Royal Rumble and Royal Rumble 2000, I can remember, where it was like Rikishi eliminated all these people, right? He was in the ring by himself. And Too Cool came out and he put the sunglasses on him and they sat there and did the Too Cool dance right during the middle of the match. It wasn't the same thing, But that's what it felt like, right? Well, guess who went with this shit? Brock Lesnar, the last man to come out. His music goes off, and Brock just like, no. I'm done with all this shit, right? Lesnar comes in there and takes everybody to Suplex City, starts suplexing them, starts German suplexing them, belly to belly suplexing, like to the point where CM Punk, when he got belly to belly suplex, I was like, bro, be careful. I hope you rotate, because we saw it happen to Big E. I'm just like, his face came very, very close to to not rotate it. And Brock was out there going crazy. And who was the last one to come out? It's Roman Reigns. Well, Brock like, no. Wargames ain't start yet, because until everybody gets in the match and it closes, and then if one member leaves, their whole team forfeits it, right? But the match hasn't started yet. So Brock leaves the cage. Okay, a rule that AEW knew nothing about, okay, because they kept exiting the cage. And he sits there at the end of the cage waiting for Roman, like, come on, let's do this. So Roman comes out and he charges a Superman punch to Brock Lesnar, and they start fighting on the outside. He's another Superman punch, and as he goes for another one, Brock catches him and gives him an F5 through the announce table. Then he drives him into the ring steps, throws him in the match, and now the match officially begins. War Games has started. Brock hits the F5 on Roman inside the ring. 1-2, Cody breaks it up. But then CM Punk hits a go to sleep, and then a crossroads on Brock Lesnar, but then it's a 2 count because Paul breaks it up. Paul Heyman gets brass nuts and hand them to Logan Paul, which I don't know why Logan Paul just ain't come in with them, but I guess for the dramatic effect. He puts them on, and it goes for the brass nuts. But then Roman takes out Logan Paul, and I think with the spear, what it was, grabs brass knucks and starts giving people Superman punches with the brass knucks. So it's taking everybody out, right? Now there's a table in the corner, and now Roman about to get try to give another Superman punch to Lesnar, but he catches him with the F5 on the F5 position, right? Oh damn, okay, my mistake. Roman has the brass knucks, but then Lesnar has Jay in the F5 position. So Roman spears them, and they all go through that table on the corner. It's slanted in the corner. CM Punk at this time hits a go to sleep on Logan Paul. He goes to pin him, but then there's this mysterious masked figure that climbs the cage. I mean, relatively quickly. Braun Breaker does break up the count, but as he gets in there, Braun Breaker is staring at him, and CM Punk look at him like, what the hell's going on? So then he gets super kicked. So CM Punk gets super kicked, and then gets a curb stomp. They want to, everybody think it's Seth Rollins. It's not Seth. Seth is injured. And then he starts scaling up the cage and gets up out of there. And then Braun pulls the straps up to pull him back down, runs the ropes and spears CM Punk and pins the World Heavyweight Champion. And the heels win War Games. Now, the biggest thing was I hate the finish. I was like, you got Brock in the match. We don't need this mysterious person coming in, which automatically it's got to be Austin Theory, because Austin Theory was supposed to be, there was rules about him joining the Vision, and I figured though in this War Games matchup he was going to be in this War Games match, but Seth got injured. You had to add in Logan Paul, you had to add in Drew McIntyre, you had to add in Brock Lesnar, or they probably would have added Brock anyway. I don't know, but I think this is going to be revealed probably tonight when y'all watching Raw. There's going to be Austin Theory. So after the matchup, CM Punk gets up, and him and Roman, they exchange like fist bumps, like out of respect. But then Roman starts staring down Cody, I guess for that championship. And I'm just like, I don't personally want Roman and Cody 3 at WrestleMania Vegas. I don't want that. I don't want that. I'd rather have Roman and Punk. I'd rather have Punk and Cody, but not Cody and Roman. I think I'm done with it now. I think I'm done with it. But that was Survivor Series. And overall, look, y'all, I think it was mid. I think it was a mid show. And I felt as though that we've had better War Games and better Survivor Series. There have been some issues with this that I think they need to address with this. But once again, I don't personally know. So if you listen to the podcast version, I'll go more into detail of how I feel about it. But if you're on the YouTube version, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Also, hit the subscribe button, like the video. Let me know in the comments how y'all guys felt about War Games, because I felt as though there needs to be some change that need to be made. But in the meantime, y'all run it down on how y'all felt about War Games. and then we will continue out on the podcast.